Hey, what's up? Give thanks to the righteous, Christ the Most High, guardian angels, Christ to us, the team. Wasn't really planning on doing a recording. Um, so some of the things that people say is most of all these nations, um, most of all these nations that have stars in their flag is a sign that they're under the mind control of the Vatican, um, the Matrix, and all that stuff. But of course, this is all fabricated, meaning that the Matrix is something that's made up. Many people theorize on, is there a single architect entity? Who knows, right? Um, First, let me just say, just kind of winging it, just saying things off the top of my head. I guess the reason why I wanted to do this is because this recording is because it's like, and this happens. I guess there's reasons, but so much things could have been avoided, right? Like this whole Bitcoin thing, people say it's backed by NASA, which is backed by certain vintage authority that's known to had rule Germany in the early 1900s. But it's like, you don't know, right? Who knows, right? The whole point is that it seems like China adopted it, took it, ran with it, is now using it as a middleman to move things between the dollar and the yuan, using Bitcoin as like a middleman. And obviously, there's all the other currencies that's involved. I know India has. They seem to generally try to diffuse Bitcoin dealings, but it seems like like everywhere else, they're having a hard time, and they're trying to figure out, can they overcome it. They're trying to have a pure economy that is something that they can understand and control themselves, and not delegate things of fiat to something that's like a Bitcoin. So, and then you got Russia, which is, seems to be focused primarily on just getting their debt down. And of course, my question is like, who's the debt paid to? I mean, people say the debt is owed to the people of the nation and then foreign investors. So basically, people say the debt is, the debt is owed to or paid by the domestic civilization and any potential foreign investors. So basically, if you have a debt and if it needs to be paid, then the people of that nation will, usually wealth would decrease, and the investors who invested, you know, would decrease if the country goes belly up in the bonds or whatever. But my whole point is that you have Russia, who's got the least amount of debt compared to U.S., China, and Russia. Russia has the least amount of debt, and they seem to be pegging themselves to the yuan. They seem to be pegging themselves to the CCP, and you just don't know what's what. I mean, it's very clear that they all have the same puppet masters to me. They might have different ways of going about it, and they might not all be in on everything together. Like, so in other words, do they cahoot? Yes. Do they always work together? No. But they do cahoot. And I don't know if the thing at the top is the same puppet master, but I do know that Russia was really a big deal as far as pushing the whole hoax, the whole global shutdown hoax, it seems like Russia was very important, because it seems like to me Russia was one of the nations that the people were looking to see who else is going to buy into the scam. And so they made sure to show Putin in that hazmat suit. I remember, when people was questioning it, and then there was stories coming out about Russia kicking out Chinese people living in Russia. Like, they were kicking down doors and kicking people out, because they were supposedly, this was, you don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly there was articles about Russia kicking out Asians because they were scared of the virus. And I mean, who knows, right? Who knows what's going on? But I'm saying they made sure they had that photo op of Putin in the hazmat suit going to visit people in the hospital that supposedly had COVID. They made sure that got a lot of press. They made sure that people picked that up. And even when you look at RT, the media conglomerate RT, they pick and choose just like every other news station. They pick and choose what they want you to know. But what I do know is that RT is on YouTube, and if the controllers, and maybe I'm wrong, but if the controllers did not want RT on YouTube, they can easily take RT off of YouTube. So again, this goes to show you that business is being done between nations, and they could have the same puppet master, because again, why is RT on YouTube, right? They can easily say this RT is getting too big, has a lot of subs, people are turning to it a lot. They're turning to it a lot, and they can just remove it, or they can make it so that you have to pay to watch and force them to have a subscription base. But they do none of that. And obviously most people don't know what RT is, never heard of it, but there's still a lot of people who do, and you can see that by the subs, because it's in the millions. So they have that out there for people in the United States. Again, why would you keep accusing somebody of doing speculative attacks, a country, and then yet you carry their media on all of your biggest platforms? So, I mean, again, some people can say it's a hedge, whatever. I'm just saying, even if you're hedging by allowing foreign entities or foreign companies, that's still colluding with that country, right? So again, I guess I have no point here I'm trying to make. I guess I'm just saying to myself, like, you have so many people that live in the United States and their whole family's here, and they have a good life here. Like, they have a car, house, and they got 401k. They got all this stuff, but yet they partook. I mean, most people don't know this, but a lot of the higher people, they do. They partook in the whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency movement, knowing that basically China was behind a lot of the momentum, meaning that you were benefiting Asia, But like one of the first major, again, I don't want to just keep reciting things that we all know, but I'm just saying, like, one of the first major exchanges for Bitcoin was in Japan. So again, Asia. And I'm saying to myself, like, you got these people, some of these people there complaining about their nation, but yet they were partaking in stuff because of greed. And I understand. I mean, our jobs. I mean, some people could say they got, some citizens could say they got betrayed by their own government first, because again, the government was outsourcing jobs. You had Congress and and presidents and everybody, senators, judges, police chief, and federal workers, foreign workers, like all the foreign agencies, alphabet agencies. They were all kind of selling out their own nation too, so to speak. When they were outsourcing the jobs, and inflation, people wasn't keeping up, and again, some people could say that a lot of these agencies are not really patriot agencies. I mean, there's already theories that a lot of these agencies go back to royalty, and how most royalty had their group of spies and stuff like that, like hundreds of years ago, and that's all you see to this day. But anyway, I don't want to digress. I guess I just wanted to make this is because you have people acting like they don't know what Bitcoin is and da 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 and da da da, but it's like the whole time they know that that China was backing them. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying like, I'm not saying I feel either which way about it, because I understand that human beings, like other life forms, if you feel like you need resources and you feel like this is the future or whatever, I'm not trying to judge nobody, but I'm just saying, like, it's so, I don't know, it's just not my style really. Like, what I'm saying is this is what I'm saying. People were pushing Bitcoin, and most people didn't know nothing about it, or they knew, like, if they really knew about it, then it's like they knew China was backing it, but they wouldn't say that, right? They would just say this is the future, this is technology, and they knew that China was one of the main ones backing it. And the whole time, they try to tell you all the weaknesses about the U.S. while they were promoting crypto. And I'm saying to myself, you're part of the, I'm just saying, people who can do stuff like that, and you invest in crypto, but then don't, like, it's like, what do you expect? Of course, if you're dodging, TAXES, if you're doing that, and then you're doing crypto, and it's just like, listen, it's not even about being a patriot. It's about, don't you see that you're selling your own self out? But again, when people feel like the jobs got outsourced, especially in the 1980s, when the chip manufacturing company went to the Pacific Rim, and I think at the Philippines or something like that, and that was in the 80s, people felt betrayed because they're like, okay, this is, and then the trend just kind of continued from there with the outsourcing of the jobs, because again, people on top of the executives, the shareholders, the profits were so good, and then they can pivot twice, because then they can outsource the work, and then also invest in the work going out. So it's like a twice thing, because you're automatically going to get more profits per sale because you got cheap labor, and then on top of that, you also buy stock into the company where you're going to throw it at. So in other words, what I'm saying is, take this for example. Apple first came to Intel to make the chips for the iPhone. Intel wanted too much money, and so then what happened was, Apple then went to Taiwan, I think it's like TSMC, to make the chips. So think about it, if you're from Intel, then all you would do is, once you see the conversation go left, and then they might, like, Apple might hire some consultants, and then if you know the consultants are going to lead the Apple investors to invest in Taiwan, then all you do as Intel is, you don't pick up the bid for the iPhone because you don't like the margin you're going to get. So instead, what you do is you front run the Taiwan manufacturing by investing in the company in Taiwan. So in other words, if you're an Intel executive, you say, okay, I'm just going to not do the iPhone because they want to do things in too much of a bulk, and you see more upside in actually turning down the business and then front running your competitor. So you'll turn down Apple as an Intel executive, and then what you would do is you'll invest the money into the TSMC in Taiwan. So therefore, you keep your big margins for whatever business you are doing, and then for the competition, you front run the competition because now you just created an investment opportunity because you know that they're looking for a supplier and you turn them down and you know there's only but so many places they can go, and especially if you actually know the consultants who's going to actually tell them and guide them to the place where to go, well then all you do is front run it, and then you're making money twice off the same deal. And again, there's all types of stuff like this, and it's just like you know it's just like they don't tell you this. Nobody tells you this. You know, they sit there and they talk about like everything else, right? Like people talk about everything else other than usually people talk about everything else but what they did wrong. Or they talk about everything else but their own greed, right? They talk about US infrastructure is behind. They say US infrastructure needs to be updated, and they talk about the homelessness and all this stuff, but yet they're making business deals that are contributing to that by not reinvesting in their own country, by not trying to, you know, by buying foreign stuff and by not trying to pay the taxes, So it's just like, I mean, I know they have to see that, unless they just believe and see what they want is, unless they unless they feel like if I don't do it, somebody else will. You can't have that attitude. I think people should have came together, even if you have to go to the government and say, look, this is going to be a problem because we ain't going to have no jobs left if you keep outsourcing like that. It's common sense. But yet they won't say that, right? They won't tell you that they invested outside as well. So they're complaining, but yet they're the one that's contributing to the problem, right? Because they're the first one to tell you that all the jobs left the country, but then they're not also telling you that they contributed to that. And then what do you know? Oh, they got bank accounts in Asia. They got investments in Russia. They got all this stuff, but then yet they're sitting up here acting like, they're sitting up here acting like it's someone else's fault. I don't know. I don't even think I meant to talk about this. I guess to wrap it up, to come to a close, I just wanted to say, like, it's just amazing how many times people talk about everything. They say everything. They point to attention to everything, but sometimes they point in every direction but the obvious. Right? They point in every direction but the obvious, which was everybody keeps talking about Asia's economic potential in Asia's economic boom, but it's like, okay, hello, where did they get the money from? They got it from you. You wasn't even investing in your own country. You was investing over there because of greed. Because what? You didn't want the money to circulate within your own country. So, and again, I understand. I understand that it's not. I understand, like, it might not be no one's fault. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm not saying it's no one's fault. But I'm saying I understand that it's. I understand that. In other words, what I'm saying is I understand that it's easier to pinpoint things when you're like 20, 30 years in. It's like hindsight is easier. I understand when you go to the day-to-day, people are just trying to keep the company afloat, or they're trying to just pay off their mortgage, so they're not even thinking about being a patriot. But I'm just saying, like, if that's the case, then just admit it, like, just say, just be honest about that. Don't act baffled on why things are happening, and not only do you know why things are happening, but you're also investing in it. So it's just like, that's the thing I don't like. It's like, you see so many people. I'm just saying, you see so many people do it, right? You see so many people do it, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm just saying, it's amazing, right? People keep talking about Asia's potential, and they keep talking about the growth of Asia. And when you look underneath the hood, you will see that most of that stuff is Rockefeller, Rothschild, London bankers, and U.S. U.S. Rich people in the U.S. These people. So you got wealthy, wealthy people from you know North America, Europe. They basically Australia too, New Zealand too. They invest in Asia to take advantage of the cheap infrastructure, the cheap labor, and then people are saying, "Oh, the wealth and income gap has grown." It's like you know that, and you know why it is. I mean, for the people on the top, and then it starts to come out about all the secret bank accounts that they have in Asia. I mean, you got people on both sides, the Dems and the Repubs. They all got secret bank accounts in Asia, so it's just like you know, I, I don't know, man. It's just like wow. I guess some people really they just can't control that greed, right? Like they'll see things going the way it's going. They just, you know, it's so weird, because it's like wow. Some of these people totally signed on, and if they would write a book, if they would write a book, they'll do it in the book too. They'll write a book, whether it's a bio, autobiography, whatever, and they will still dodge the obvious, right? They'll talk about everything but the secrets. That's my whole point. People talk about everything but the secrets, and the secrets is really the juice of the matter. Peace.